Imagine you're watching the video now. The camera opens on a dark studio, a narrow beam of light sliding across a low, angular silhouette. And there it is, the 2026 Corvette Zora, the car Chevrolet built not just to push boundaries but to erase the idea that boundaries ever existed. Today we're taking you through everything: interior, exterior, performance, price, so settle in, because this one deserves your full attention. The lights rise slowly, and the Zora's shape becomes unmistakable. This isn't just a more aggressive C8. It's the Corvette that engineers have been whispering about for years, the one that supposedly lived on whiteboards, prototypes, and rumor. But now it's real, and the exterior alone tells you this car wasn't designed for the streets so much as allowed onto it. The front end is lower and sharper, almost predatory, with air channels carved so cleanly into the bodywork that they seem grown rather than manufactured. Every surface is intentional, every crease guides air somewhere meaningful. Up front you've got a wider intake, not just for cooling but to feed the hybrid system that hides underneath. The headlights are narrower, more technical, looking like they were laser etched into place instead of bolted on. Walk along the side and you can see how Chevrolet widened the stance. The fenders swell not for style but because the front and rear track widths have been pushed outward. The Zora sits like it's bracing itself, as though it knows before you do that it's capable of more than you're prepared to handle. The roofline stays low, flowing into a rear section that no longer looks like a modified Corvette but something entirely new. The vents are massive, the hips wide, and the rear deck is dominated by an integrated wing that isn't just for downforce but also for stability at speeds that move from fast to surreal. Then the rear comes into focus. Quad exhaust outlets sit higher than before, with the diffuser stretching out like an aircraft component. Everything back here speaks the language of speed. And while there's a trace of Corvette heritage in the taillights, the overall shape signals something different, a willingness to compete in a world of hypercars rather than American sports cars. The Zora doesn't mimic Europe, it challenges it. Now imagine opening the door. The interior greets you with a cabin that finally acknowledges what the Zora really is. You're not stepping into a muscle car. You're stepping into a cockpit. The layout wraps aggressively around the driver, not just separating you from the passenger but giving you the distinct feeling that everything inside this car exists for the sole purpose of making you faster. There's more Alcantara, more carbon fiber, and far more precision in the textures and materials. The steering wheel is compact and purpose-built with reshaped grips and larger paddle shifters. They feel mechanical, reassuring, and completely unfiltered. The digital cluster has been redesigned to feed you real performance data, not just pretty graphics. You get hybrid power distribution, torque flow, boost pressure, battery temperature, and customizable views for track versus street. The center screen angles more toward the driver now, and the infotainment system is quicker, but the real story is how Chevy isolated room for crucial controls, ride height, aero modes, hybrid assist, so they're always within reach. This isn't just convenience, it's survival at high speeds. The seats are another leap forward. Bolstering is aggressive, firm, almost race-like, but never punishing. Chevrolet clearly expects you to drive this car hard, and the seats serve that mission. You can get them in lightweight carbon shells if you want to shave every ounce possible. Even the stitching patterns hint at the car's identity, sharp geometric lines that seem pulled straight from the bodywork. Now let's talk about performance, because that's where the Zora justifies its existence. Rumors have swirled for years about a flat-plane twin-turbo V8 pushing beyond anything Chevrolet has ever offered, and here the speculation comes alive. The 2026 Corvette Zora combines a high-output twin-turbo V8 with a front-mounted electric motor, creating a hybrid all-wheel drive monster. The total output, over 1,000 horsepower. That means this is not simply the most powerful Corvette ever built. It's one of the most powerful production cars on the planet. The engine alone delivers staggering numbers, but the electric motor fills every gap, every hesitation, every millisecond between gears. Launch control becomes almost violent. 0 to 60 falls well under 2 seconds, and the quarter-mile time dips into territory usually reserved for multi-million-dollar hypercars. But power isn't the only trick. The Zora uses active aerodynamics, torque vectoring, and an adaptive suspension system that reads the road hundreds of times per second. It doesn't just manage speed, it manages the consequences of speed. On the track, everything works together in a way that almost feels like the car is thinking. It pulls you out of corners with electric torque and rockets down straights on turbocharged fury. The hybrid system isn't here to save fuel, it's here to force physics to reconsider its limits. Driving it requires precision, and the Zora rewards you with grip that seems to exceed the capabilities of its tires. It's the type of performance that makes you question whether you're driving or negotiating with the car. Even the braking system has been redesigned, with carbon ceramics that feel appropriately sized for a machine with this level of velocity. Regenerative braking feeds power back into the hybrid system, meaning every slowdown becomes fuel for the next acceleration. And if you're wondering whether the Zora sounds like a hybrid appliance, rest assured, it doesn't. The engine note is sharper and angrier than the Z06, with the turbos adding a layer of menace. It's not quiet, it's not polite, it's alive. And what about price? The Zora isn't meant to be affordable. It's the peak of the Corvette lineup, the halo car, the one that redefines the brand. So expect a number that reflects that ambition. We're talking significantly above the ZR1, well into supercar pricing, and realistically in the low to mid six-figure range depending on options. Still, even at that cost, it undercuts European hypercars that deliver similar performance by massive margins. That's always been the secret weapon of Corvette, not just speed, but accessible speed. The Zora may be the most expensive Corvette ever built, but in its competitive group, it's still the bargain. What makes the Zora so fascinating is that it isn't pretending. Some cars try to act like hypercars. Some try to adopt the look, the numbers, the presence. But the Zora simply is one. It's a product of American engineering refusing to stay in its lane, refusing to accept that certain achievements belong only to legacy brands across the ocean. This is Chevrolet stepping into a fight that many people assumed they could never join. And the result is a machine that proves they not only joined it, they came armed. In the end, the 2026 Corvette Zora is more than a car review can capture. It's a turning point for the Corvette name, a moment where the brand transitions from sports car legend to hypercar contender. It's a car built for drivers who believe that performance should challenge the imagination. And when you sit inside it, when you hear the engine flare and feel the electric motors surge beneath you, you know instantly that this is what the future of American performance looks like. If this is the direction Chevrolet is going, then the Zora isn't just a milestone. It's the beginning of a new era.